Hi there. Hi there. My name is Madhavi Ghare and welcome to my channel. Um, it's a little weird to sit here and just like talk about myself. But the thing is, I keep getting a lot of emails and requests from people like, how did you get into the cards? What was your tarot journey like? Tell us a little bit more about yourself. So, okay, here I am. I decided to make a bit of a video, or maybe if the videos are too big, then I'll, make small videos. That is always the aim, right? Smaller videos. Anyway, so let me start by talking about the basics. I have my bachelor's degree is in commerce and my master's degree is in economics. I know, please don't judge. Um, well, I used to have a bunch of admin type jobs because, to be honest, okay, I'll be honest, why not? I actually wanted to study English literature. See, ever since I was a kid, I loved reading. I loved reading novels, books, all kinds of, not just one subject, anything and everything. Like you have your uh, Jane Austen type novels, which as a as a kid you read your Enid Blytons and the, Nancy Drews, and then you graduate to Jane Austen, and then you move on to the bestsellers. And I literally read anything that I could pick up and read. Okay, and so I have a very varied sort of taste where books are concerned. I mean, I like the fiction, non-fiction. I also like science fiction. I like fantasy. That sort of developed after I watched, those movies, and then it came to the books. Because I like to watch movies and listen to a bunch of, again, a wide range of music. So, and yeah, I'm a bit of a foodie, obviously. So anyhow, the thing is, I wanted to study literature and maybe uh, become a teacher or something. And my father was like, either a doctor or an engineer. And I'm like, that's not happening. So anyway, as an act of rebellion, I ended up doing neither whatever he wanted nor whatever I wanted. And I went in a field that had nothing that attracted me, except in those 3 years when I was studying for my bachelor's degree. I realized that I liked economics. So I said, okay, fine, I'll do my master's in economics. I skipped all the math parts that were avoidable because math is not my thing and accounts was never my thing. So you see, ultimately, I ended up studying something that mildly interested me, but never held me, never captured me. And so, as a result of that, I was never really keen on anything that I did in life. And any job that I held was merely to put food on the table so I could become independent and finally do what I wanted to do. When I got to that point, I realized I had no idea what it was that I wanted to do, and I realized that I was not happy. So I just, I made sure I had some money in the bank so that maybe for a couple of months I didn't have to worry. And then I quit my job, and I was like, I need to figure this out for the life of me, because otherwise it's my whole life at stake, right? I had no idea what was the purpose of my life, what was the aim of my life, what I was supposed to do with my life. So anyway, this is the year 2006, and I'm hanging around in this restaurant in Koregaon Park called Prem's. So if anybody's from Pune, they probably know it. Maybe you've been there. This is 2006, not the recent one. Back then, it was a very different atmosphere. Pune was nice and pleasant, and you didn't need to have air conditioners. You know, anyway, I'm not going to start talking about how cutting down the forests has really, harmed my little hometown. Anyway, so I was hanging out there. I used to sit there, have a drink, have a cigarette. I used to smoke back then, which I quit a couple of years ago, by the way. So, yeah. And I used to be like, okay, so what is the meaning of life? What is the meaning of life? Clearly, you don't find the meaning of life at the bottom of a bottle or at the end of a cigarette either. So I had no answers, and I was just sitting there staring into space. And that's when I met this really wonderful lady called Heidi. She was there in Pune traveling all the way from New Zealand. And we got talking and, sharing tidbits of her life. And when I told her what I was going through, she said, "Oh, you must go for a tarot card reading." I'm like, man, that is one big scam. They'll tell you all the things you want to hear, like, oh, you'll either become a billionaire or you'll marry a tall, dark, handsome billionaire, and you live happily ever after. And at the end of the day, nothing like that happens. I mean, the guy you're crushing on isn't even looking at you, all that. And she started laughing. She's like, no, no, this is nothing like that. So I was like, nah, come on. So, but she pushed me, and thank you, Heidi. Thank you for that. She really pushed me. She made me take the appointment, and I went to this American lady. See, I went to this lady who'd been there in India for over 30 years, right? And she was an American lady called Sona. And so we sat down and she started doing my reading. And wow, oh my God, wow. She opened the cards and I was in love, right? I mean, I have not felt that way about anything in my life ever. Anything. Okay? Not Nothing compares to the way I felt that moment. I was like a magnet. I was drawn to it. I remember the high priestess card, the mysterious look in her eyes, like I wanted to talk to her or something. And the enchanting star card and the exciting wheel of fortune card. And I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. This thing is like, it's turning me on inside out. It's like I'm on fire and I want to know what this is all about. And of course, the reading was amazing, because Sona was also psychic and stuff. So she was looking at the cards and talking about stuff that happened in my past, my present. I was like blown away, and I'm like, this is good stuff. And obviously, I sensed that it could be addictive, right? It could be addictive. I'd be like, every other day, I'd want a reading. So obviously, money was tight. So I said to myself, find a way to maybe learn this. So at the end of the whole reading, I asked Sona, I said, can I learn? Because, hey, I'm not like psychic or anything. I'm just a normal, regular person. So she's like, yeah, totally, you can learn. See, this is what she said to me. She's like, all of us have intuitive abilities. It's just that we've been taught not to use them. And I was like, wow, yeah, yeah. So I was like, okay, sign me up. So, in my head, I was like, oh my God, think of the countless money you will save. You can keep doing endless readings for yourself. That was, one part of my mind. The other part was like, this is exciting. I'm going to really learn what all those cards are all about. Anyway, I, Sona took my number and everything. And a few days later, she called me and she's like, would you mind? There's this whole group of Brazilian girls who want to learn with me. It's like, would you mind joining with them? I'm like, I'm okay. So here we were, the whole group of us, and bunch of girls chatting, talking, laughing, and this whole sitting there in Sona's apartment with our cards and everything. It was an amazing atmosphere. It was amazing. And right off the bat, Sona said, listen, they tarot is often associated with astrology and numerology and psychology and myth and this and that, and I don't believe in any of it. I'm going to teach you what I know, but not that stuff. So you're like, okay, you know. So the class started, and I think that's where it started for me. The whole, looking at the picture, looking at the story that the image was forming, and then arriving at the interpretation. So I think you can say that the seeds of my card story technique were kind of laid down back then. Anyhow, the class ended and everything was fantastic. And so now I was like, you must read for other people now. So I said, okay. So I read for a few friends and that was interesting. But then she's like, no, no, you have to read professionally. And I was like, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. So she's like, no, no, you must read professionally. So Sona was someone you couldn't like say no to. So I was like, okay, I will read professionally. Who knew? Who knew how it will all end up? Maybe she already knew back then. Who knows? So anyhow, I started to read professionally. And it's all thanks to that one reading I went to. Anyway, many days passed. I was reading for people. I was reading for, friends and stuff. And I tried one day. I said, okay, now I will do a reading for myself because, hey, that's kind of why I got into it in the first place. And guess what? I discovered I couldn't. I simply couldn't. My mind just went blank the moment I laid out the spread for myself and I looked at it. Or sometimes I would feel, oh, you know what? Because you see a card with which kind of feels not happy or not positive, and you're like, maybe I need to shuffle the deck again. Like maybe I didn't shuffle it right. Reading for yourself is not easy because there's a lot of vested interests. I realized that, a few days later, as I was thinking about it. I'm like, what's the point if I can't read for myself? Like, why did I do this? That's when I started thinking. I was like, okay, I have a lot of vested interests in what happens to me, obviously. So I don't want to see the negative card there in, or whatever in that outcome situation in that spread. And at the same time, I have to distance myself from myself actually, so that I can do a reading for myself. So it was not easy. It was not easy at all. Right about the same time, I started feeling something uneasy while I was reading for my clients, for the people that who came in. It's like okay, it's like if you're watching a foreign language movie. Yeah, you can hear them talk. You can't understand what they're talking though, but you can hear them, like they're talking. They're making gestures. Something is happening on screen. Maybe you can decipher a little bit of it based on, whatever's going on. But there's no subtitles, so you cannot make head or tail of what it is that is really happening. You can only take a guess. That was the kind of feeling I was getting. Like the cards were trying to tell me something, that the cards were trying to reach out to me and say more about what was going on in the reading. But the subtitles were off. Like I could not decipher it. So I said to myself, wait a minute, I need to maybe study some more. Yeah. Uh, I did have a little conversation with Sona, but clearly she had her own way of looking at things, and I had my own way of looking at things, which is okay, which is normal, which is human, I guess. So that's what I did. I went on the internet. Now, back in 2006, there weren't so many blogs about tarot, you see, but I somehow ended up on Amazon, and I and I saw these, books, or rather on some websites where they were recommending like best books to learn tarot from, or I ended up buying this one, The 78 Degrees of Wisdom by Rachel Pollack. Oh, wait, hang on. Before I go on to that book, we must talk about this one. This is Mastering the Tarot by Paul Fenton Smith. This book was given to me by Heidi the moment she realized uh, that I had started studying tarot. She said, "Oh, look, I have this book here. You take it." So I had this book, of course, and this is a good book. This is a really good book, very well sort of written. But I needed more. Duh. So I I ended up buying this book, Rachel Pollack's 78 Degrees of Wisdom. Amazing book. Amazing. A lot of information and I was like, this is exactly what I was looking for. The whole connection with myths, with symbols, with psychology, with astrology, numerology, all of that, the whole package. Sorry about that. Phone started ringing, and well, anyway. So, as I was saying, along with Rachel's book, 78 Degrees of Wisdom, I also ended up buying these two books. One is called Tarot for Yourself by Mary K. Greer. Okay. And the other one, also by Mary K. Greer, is called 21 Ways to Read a Tarot Card. Both these books changed the way I looked at the card image and what I did with it, instead of just, yeah, sure, I went with my intuition, with the instinct, like the moment you see the card, what do you get? That is there, but when you try to see it different ways, like in this, the 21 different ways are there, and that helped me. That helped me a lot, like different perspectives, right? And Tarot for Yourself. Oh, hang on one second. I'm sorry. Tarot for Yourself. This one helped me. It's like a workbook, but it helped me develop slowly that distance, that objectivity that is required, I believe, to do readings for yourself, right? So in my journey, these three books were kind of pivotal. They were key, really, to get me started. Of course, I ended up buying more books. I will not deny that. Right behind this pile of decks here, you can see. Can you see? It is. Let me see if I can tilt the camera a little bit. Yeah. Do you see? There's a whole bunch of books here, and let's see. There's a whole. Do you see? Do you see those books up there? So I can't help myself. I also ended up getting all these decks. These I got later, but these I got back then along with those books. So I ended up doing a whole lot of shopping, obviously, and buying books and decks. But the thing is, the more I read, the more I played with the cards, the more information I sort of accumulated. That's kind of how I work. Sure, intuition is there, obviously it's there. That's like the key ingredient, but my intuition is fueled with knowledge and information. So when I put all of that together, it created something brilliant. And the storytelling techniques that happened. So obviously, and me being a writer, I had to write everything down. So I started the first blog was a free WordPress blog. That's where I started. That's where I started writing about my tarot stuff. And later, when I got more conversant, so to speak, with creating websites and such, I made my own website and transferred the stuff over. You know, WordPress is pretty simple, and it's sweet. I love it. So yeah, so nothing you learn really goes to waste. Yeah. So I moved my blog over and made my own website, TaroticallySpeaking.com. And it's been a crazy journey from that point to today. Here I am making YouTube videos, because I think this is even fun. Yeah, sure, writing blog posts is interesting, and I still find that interesting, although I did take a bit of a break in between there. But I'm finding YouTube interesting too, although I'm quite introverted in person. But the thing is, here it's just me and my phone or my computer screen. So I'm not like, there's no audience, right? So I can just be me, crazy, wacky me, and I can just talk. So I think that's intriguing, because it allows my, I guess, my inner extrovert to come out and play or something or whatever. So anyhow, I love this forum where I can really, like, do the speaking in Tarotically Speaking. I can come out and talk to you guys and share my thoughts and my feelings and my inspirations and my experiences and my readings and everything with you. So that's kind of my tarot journey. That's kind of how I got into the cards. That's how I got started with the cards. So there's a lot more that I want to talk actually today. I'm in a mood to talk. So I will be talking, but that's kind of part of the next thing I see here. I've made a list of things that I want to talk about. So that's next video. So I will continue this story in the next video. So stay tuned. And in the meantime, stay good, be good, and play with your tarot cards. Bye now.